So just give me a moment to settle down. Slow. So just give me a minute to settle down, and that gives you a minute to settle down with yourself. Turn off your groans, because if it beeps, I forget how mine. It's all on you. So make sure you're on Genesis 22, we're on the same page. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rodrigo, I'm going to be your reciter. And basically, today's going to be a really special service. You guys can see this different setting. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a different approach. Because this is a special day, we're dedicating today as a celebration, not just to our fathers in heaven, but also the fathers here on earth. So first, before I start, I actually want to establish a theme right off the bat. I want to ask you, the congregation, to help me on this. Try to use your imagination, try to reminisce, right? A specific moment with your father that he asked you to do a specific task that you despised, right? Whether it's throwing the trash, whether it's cleaning the bathroom, whether it's taking care of your little brother or sister, whatever it be, just capture that moment and bring it in, right? I want you to hear that stick to his voice, and I want you to just, if possible, remember what you were doing, right? And I want you to identify that motive that pushed you to ultimately do that task, right? Now, I'm not a mentalist, but the majority of you, right, if you guys actually did it, the majority of you probably have said that you did it. You threw the trash because you had to, because your dad told you, and you had to, right? Well, that ideal, that perspective is called obedience, right? And that's basically my theme, so that's just making my life easier, your life easier. It's absolute obedience. I'm going to try to define what absolute obedience is. So what is absolute obedience? Just give me a synonym, maybe. Submit, thank you, Nate, for giving me that word. Submit. So absolute obedience is submitting yourself to, let's say, a person. Yeah, okay, so submitting yourself to a person and to the person's demands. There you go. So submitting yourself to a person's demands, whether it be a servant to a master or a son to a father, right? And that's basically what I'm going to do, is I'm going to define what absolute obedience and what it requires in 3 points. So it's going to be, we're just going to please do this. The first point is going to be recognizing the authority, right? Second is going to be immediate action. Third is going to be clarifying, complete compliance. Sorry. Okay, so let's just dive into it. First point is recognition of authority. It's going to be in verses 1 and 2. So right off the bat, you can see that Abraham, in the story, in the text, Abraham actually recognizes God's authority. Right off the bat, when Abraham was called upon, God said, Abraham responded. He said, here I am. There was no hesitation in that response. He said, here I am. He didn't say, 1 second, let me finish what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. He said, here I am. So he recognized his authority. Now, on a personal note, right, when my dad, right there, when he calls me, right, he makes sure that I can hear that. Actually, if I was on the other side of the state, I would hear him yell at me. That's how I was, right? And like, he expects me to say, here I am. He expects me to say yeah or yes, or he makes it louder, which terrifies me. But he makes it clear. Even at a young age, he made it clear that I have to recognize his authority. Right? Even at my grandfather, right? Oh man, I got scared. But in London, right? When I visited my grandfather in London, when he calls on me, right, he counts to 10. Right? Gosh, and I still if I don't reach a specific time, I get a follow-up, and until this day, I still don't know what time I'm supposed to be there. Because even if I go there 3 seconds, you would still get a follow-up. But that established, authority. Established me to recognize his authority. The same sense Abraham does that with God, or God does that to Abraham. Alright, so furthermore, Abraham doesn't just recognize authority through just response, right? He recognizes authority through God's inherent power, right? That's pretty interesting. So let's just dive into that, right? So Abraham, I'm going to say it again, recognizes God's authority through God's inherent power. If you notice, right, in verses 5, you guys read that, just verses 5, I'll get back to you though. Abraham concludes beforehand that God will raise Isaac back to life, right? Verses 5, it says that stay here with the donkey. He's talking to the servants. He's He's saying that stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, then we will come back to you. Now you're going to question that, like, wait, you were ordered to kill your son, right? To sacrifice your son as an offering. Then why did you say we will come back? So I was like, whoa, okay, so let me just do a little research on that. And this is what I came up with, right? Hebrews 11, 17 through 19. So I'm going to give you a chance to, actually, no, it's over here, is it? Okay, so just flip to Hebrews 11, 17 through 19, I'm making sure. Let's focus on verses 19, I believe. Yeah, 19. So it says, Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead, and so in a manner of speaking, he did receive Isaac back from the dead. So now remember this, right? Remember this, take note, that there had never been any resurrection in his time. Abraham had no biblical account of any resurrection. This is before Lazarus, this is before Jesus Christ, this is before Exodus. You know, the young man who fell off the third-story building. Well, that's even before that, right? But yet, Abraham realized, through recognizing God's authority, he realized God's great ability and power. He realized that he was more than capable of bringing Isaac back to life, even from a burnt offering. That's Abraham recognizing God's authority. Which leads me to my next point, which is immediate action, which is focusing on verse 3. Okay? So verse 3 starts with, early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey, right? So that basically says that Abraham doesn't even hesitate. He doesn't delay. He doesn't procrastinate, right? He got up early in the morning. He didn't even finish lunch or breakfast. He just got up early in the morning, saddled up his donkey, prepared, and took the initiative, right? Now this isn't just like getting your lunch, getting your backpack. This is going to school, right? This is saddling up to kill your son, your only son, right? Sacrificing your son, right? And yet he took immediate action. So now, in order to like fully portray the situation, the extremity of Abraham's situation and his actions, I like to like portray this in this way. Okay, so he was to tie up his son and lay him down on the altar. Right, that's one. So he had to take his knife and cut his son's throat, wait for him to die, and then burn his corpse. Right. Now, take note. Right. When Abraham burns his son, he's not just burning his only son; he's also burning the promises that God declared through Abraham. And what are those promises? Anybody?
That he would have
It's a great land. It's a great nation, land, and sea. Right? He's burning all that up. Now, did Abraham hesitate?
No.
No, he didn't. He didn't even delay. He woke up early in the morning and he took the initiative. Right? Now, that content of that situation, we could literally analyze it and use it in different ways. We could throw it with our relationship with God and say how we should take the initiative, whether it's we're facing adversity, whether we're facing financial problems, whether it's anything, any extremity or circumstance, we should take immediate action. That delay, without doubt. Or we can take that content and throw it into a relationship with our fathers, like me. I already said about the immediate action and with my grandfather. Whenever he calls me, he counts, right? And actually, there's this one instance where I actually fell down the stairs because I would literally run down the stairs just to dive into the kitchen and say, I'm here. That's immediate action. And I just establish, again, obedience, absolute obedience. Which leads me to my third point. Okay, which is complete compliance. Now let's just slow it down, right? Just take a deep breath. I'm losing breath as well. So, complete compliance. I had a problem with this, right? At first I had a problem because I didn't really know how to define complete compliance, right? So let's just define that right now. And while we were talking in a Bible study, we got a synonym, a really good synonym that describes complete compliance. It's a simulation, right? To simulate yourself. In other words, when you completely comply with God, you're assimilating, yourself with His belief, His standards, His, requests and demands, right? And for you Filipinos, I guess you guys know what Americanized is, right? When you Americanize, when your son Americanizes me, or half, because I'm still Filipino, but when somebody Americanizes himself, he embraces without doubt, right? He just embraces practices of American culture. So So in the same sense, when Abraham completely complies with God, he is assimilating himself with God's demands. Which were what? To set Isaac as a burnt offering, to take Isaac to Mount Moriah, where he was to build an altar and burn it, right? Those were the sets of demands that God gave him, right? And then what did Abraham do? He fully complied. Because he had absolute obedience in God. Now, let's just take a little, let's diverge over here, right? So Abraham isn't the only person in the Bible who had complete compliance. Noah, for example. You guys know Noah and the ark? Okay, so Noah completely complied in terms of the measurements of the ark. Because God gave him pretty specific measurements, right? And Noah completely complied with that. Why? Because, hey, I mean, it depended on, those measurements basically depended on his life and his family's life. Let's try something else. What about Moses, right? Moses, that's a little different story. Moses slightly hesitated when he faced God in front of the bush and Mount, know what it is? Sinai. Okay, so when he faced God in Mount Sinai, he sounded a little hesitant. So that's the other side of the stick, right? Now, on a personal note, complete compliance. I believe complete compliance is the quintessential, trait of a great son, right? I have to completely comply with my dad's beliefs, my dad's demands, my dad's tasks. Because without complete compliance, it's not a healthy relationship, right?
Yes.
So in the same sense with God, without complete compliance with God, it's not a healthy relationship. So in the same sense, let's wrap it up, okay? Because he can't wait to get on here. So